So Jason, we'll just get started. Heading into this year's draft, how are you feeling?
Certainly very excited. I think our amateur scouts have done a lot of work throughout the season. Our meetings have gone very well. You look at some of the players at the top of the draft, just what players are or what had success in the National Hockey League playoffs. You looked at centermen, you looked at defensemen who have a lot of size range. That's sort of what we have at the top of the draft this year. So, no, certainly excited about what could transpire here on Friday and Saturday.
And you've been part of many front offices before. This is your first as GM. How are you feeling about that?
Feel good, very good about it. And this is based off the transition. It's been very easy from the standpoint. I have a very comfort level with Robert Cron and his staff. Been a part of this staff for 4+ years now. So yes, I'm now moving into the GM role, but feel very comfortable with what our staff can do. And beginning with the amateur scouting meetings, and then I may go into the combine in Buffalo. Now tweaking our list here and stuff. Certainly feel very confident in Robert and his staff, and feel very well prepared for Friday and Saturday.
And what stands out to you about this draft class?
I think, as we just discussed, I think you have a lot of players, a lot of forwards, a lot of centermen at the top of the draft. You hear a lot going into free agency. Everyone's looking for centermen throughout the league. I also think, just the fact that these defensemen that are at the very top of the draft too, they have size, but also are all great skaters. A lot of times when you get a player over 6 foot, 6'2", 6'3", sometimes they're skating on there. These players at the top of the draft, very impressive from that standpoint. So a lot of different ways we can go with it. We'll see how it sort of sorts out, but there may not be that elite, franchise-changing player as a McDavid or a McKinnon, but a lot of really good players at the top of the draft.
And then how do you balance best player available versus what the organization needs?
From our standpoint, we're always going to usually go best player available. Just the fact that we're drafting 18-year-old kids, there's such a long, drawn-out process until they're NHL players for most of them. At the end of the day, even with our first rounders, you're looking 3-4 years out. So many things can happen from trade perspective and exactly what the Kraken need moving forward there. So we're looking still to try to bring in the best asset that we think is out there, no matter what the need is.
And kind of along with that, what is the temptation to go with a college player versus a high school player because of how ready they'll be for the NHL?
Again, because there's such a long sort of development plan, it doesn't certainly go into the equation too much. I think we're an organization that trusts college hockey. We were a big fan of college hockey, just the pace that they play at and the atmosphere that they play at from that perspective. But I think that's what Robert Cron and his staff has done a great job of. You look at our first 4 drafts here, so utilizing players from all over the world, not just focusing on one region. And we're just trying to find the best players that sort of fit the Kraken identity. And
with that Kraken identity, now 5 years of the team, what kind of player fits that mold?
I think we're certainly looking for, players who have strong character, players who have a strong work ethic. At the end of the day, when you're drafting an 18-year-old, there's still a long development process still there. But we're looking for players that play fast. I think when people hear that, they're just thinking, oh, they're looking for players who skate well. But no, when we play fast, you're thinking fast. You're making plays. You're moving the puck quickly and stuff from that standpoint. So I think when you talk about Kraken identity, you're looking at someone who plays the game fast.
And we talk a lot about analytics in sport. How has analytics played into this draft?
Well, I think just in general, we have a very strong R&D department head by Alex Mandricki, and that sort of correlation between Robert Cron and Alex has worked very well for us from a drafting perspective. I think the interaction just between our staffs, the amateur staff and our R&D staff, that allows us to get to a strong decision. R&D may bring up a player in the middle of the year that the numbers look really good on. Our amateur scouts then go into them and watch them a little bit more carefully, or vice versa. If, hey, we're not seeing, some of our scouts in the field are really impressed with the player, but R&D's questioning a couple of things. To me, it's just a good dialogue to eventually get the right player for the Kraken.
And then with this offseason, what do you think about the offseason trades you guys have made?
No, we've been very excited to bring a few players in. It's a situation where we've looked at the free agent market a lot. There's not a lot of depth in the free agent market. There's certainly some very talented players, but not a lot of depth. So we felt it was important to try to utilize some of our draft capital to go after and get players for our needs. And bringing a player like Mason Marchment in, we've talked a lot about sort of net front presence, getting to the net, creating more opportunities in the offensive zone. Really excited to bring Mason in from that perspective. He has a relationship with Brandon Montour from Florida days. Great for him to come into the mix from that standpoint. And then making a move for Gaudreau here today. It's just another player that gives us depth at center position, a right shot that we don't have a lot on our team from there. So we've been happy so far making the acquisitions, and we think both these players are veteran players who know the league very well that can be good influences on our young players that are going to try to make the lineup.
And then Tuesday, free agency. Do you guys have any plans for that?
We'll certainly stay in touch with things. That's why we've been more active in the trade market, just because we felt that was a better opportunity to improve our team than maybe free agency. We certainly will continue dialogue with players once they get to July 1 to see how things materialize, to see if there's a fit with Seattle. Obviously, last year bringing in Stevenson and Montour was a very big accomplishment for our organization, an exciting thing. We'll continue to see if there is a fit from that standpoint, but we're excited about the players that we've at least added from a trade perspective, and excited leading into development camp next week to see where some of our young players are progressing, to see how they're going to push for a job in Seattle in the fall.
Perfect. Thank you so much.